I went to Glen Fontaine today. It's the Africconer settlement outside of Pretoria. They have their own solar, wastewater treatment, and wildlife. They say it's
the Glen Fontaine residency, in terms of exactly who owns Glen Fontaine, how was it established, when was it established, who established it, who okayed its establishment, who said that there must be whites only, how is it that it came to be a whites only place, how did Glen Fontaine, because basically
Mashiane Politically Incorrect. Glen Fontaine. So what does Glen Fontaine mean? Glen Fontaine, Glen means small. Fontaine, I've got no idea. Bloem Fontaine, Bram Fontaine, Ilans Fontaine. So those are Afrikaans names. So those are legacy names. But I think people who are versed with Afrikaans can tell us what it means. I've got no idea what it means. All I can tell you is it's a small Orania. We say small because it's not at the magnitude of Orania. They are around the same age. They were formed in the early 90s when, I assume, when Afrikaners could not fathom the idea of living side by side with African people. Of course, if you ask someone is going to deny it, of course they are going to tell you for determination is their right to do this. But we live in a constitutional democracy where if people are not happy, they could take it and test their will in the constitution. But this is where I stand with this matter. The EFF went to Northern Cape. They went to what is this place? Orania. I didn't follow the story much. I'm not happy with people going to other people to say, hey, stop what you are doing, come and join us. Or stop what you are doing, open the doors, we want in. I don't know, man, maybe I'm just too proud. I understand, yeah, but the constitution says this and that. You know, I've always said our contest for freedom must not be fighting for segregation. We want to be included. Why, if a bunch of Afrikaners want to live by themselves, we want to force ourselves not to live with them? Of course, I spoke about the constitution, that we're a democratic country where people can have free determination and the constitution but can we just legislate love? If African people, as small as they are, if they do not love us, why must we force ourselves on them? Glen Fontaine or Orania. And if it's illegal, why has it been there in the early 90s? These two communities are almost of the same age. They've been existing, they've been supported by your favorites, your political parties. But the reason I'm here is I just want to hear MK went there. EFF is very topical. EFF leader in Gauteng has written to Panyaza, and EFF is not happy about it. The Glen Fontaine, of course, the Northern Cape ones, they're of course not happy about it. And the MK party, they're not happy about it. Gauteng spokesperson, Abel Tau of Mkhonto Wesizwe, brought in the chief whip, Mzwane Lemanyu to Glen Fontaine to come and speak on it. And I see Jacqui Uys, she's also not happy with Glen Fontaine. But on her side, she's saying, why is it only targeted? Because there are Fontaine, there are other Fontaines that need to be Mashiane Politically Incorrect. Let's try again until we find all of them. Rabanyaka one by one, so they can tell us what is happening with Glen Fontaine.
Jacqui, hello.
Good afternoon, Jacqui.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Good. Please, let's start with Glen means small. What does Fontaine mean?
Fontaine, that means like a fountain.
A fountain.
Yes.
So Leo Fontaine, Bram Fontaine, Bloom Fontaine, all of them are little are fountains.
Yeah, they're all named after fountains.
All right, now let's get back to Leo Fontaine and Glen Fontaine. So, do you've got a background story of how they were formed?
So all of these properties, and there's about 19 of them across the city, are privately owned land that has been illegally subdivided. And the problem then comes in that the landowners turned developers sold these properties to a lot of unsuspecting people. For example, the residents of Glen Fontaine have been spending years in court trying to resolve this, because at the time when they bought the properties, they did not know that they were not legally established as per the city's guidelines. And we are seeing these residents crying a lot because they also don't have access to proper electricity and water, etc., because of this. The other side of the coin is that the rate-paying residents of the city also feel it is unfair because they feel that these people are not paying for rates and taxes. And as a municipality and as a government, your main purpose, as to what the DA believes, should be to offer fair solutions to all residents. Sorry, we've got the residents of Vashante Gardens, who is also quite a big established township that has a similar scenario. And the city then has one of two choices: to either not charge these properties rates and taxes, which is unfair towards the residents who are paying in the city, or to charge them punitive rates and taxes, which is unfair to those people who were caught wanting when they purchased these properties and did not know that proper processes were not followed. And that is why the DA proposed a third solution. And the solution that we proposed is to use the opportunity that is currently available, where the city's valuation roll is open for public comment, to put a value to each of these properties, even if they are not correctly zoned, because the zoning process is a long and cumbersome process. And in the interim, we can already put a value to the properties, ensure that the residents then pay a fair amount that is equal and similarly calculated to every other resident in the city of Tshwane. Because we know that rates and taxes is based on the value of your property. So if the city has not put a value to your property, they cannot fairly charge you for rates and taxes.
Okay, so let me try to maybe put it in layman's terms, and then you correct me, because I want to put it into perspective so a lot of people can understand this. So I remember, where Glen Valley, or just north of Mamelodi, around Glen Fontaine, I think. So if I've got a big farm, Jacqui, and it's just a big farm, and then I start subdividing it without going to the municipality to apply for township, and I start subdividing it, I sell those stands, and when people buy those stands, they are not aware that I've not been allocated or sectional municipal processes to have me given a township status, whatever the process is. And afterwards, this problem happens. Is that the similar picture?
That is exactly the picture. So what is now happening is currently we've got these 19 places where this is happening. Glen Fontaine, Vashante Gardens, Kleinfontein are all part of them. So we've got these 19 places across the city where it happens. And these people are currently not paying rates and taxes. And that is unfair towards the rate-paying residents of the city. So they should be paying rates and taxes. But without the property be given a value, without the municipality coming and saying, this house's value is 1 million. In the case of Vashante Gardens, it often goes up to 2 million. Unless the municipality says that, they cannot charge rates and taxes. What they can do is they can charge them a punitive rate, which means it's a rate 7 times what they should pay. And that's also not fair towards the people who did not know when they purchased these properties that the right processes were not followed. So the DA brought a motion to council to say that we must bring what is fair. And what is fair is to make sure that everybody pays rates and taxes, even the people who are staying on these places that are not legally established, but that all of them pay similar and equal rates and taxes calculated on the same way.
So let me muddy the waters a bit.
Okay.
There are lots and lots of informal settlements where, even though it's an informal settlement, someone goes there, builds a very big house there. It's not evaluated, it's not valued, but they somewhat escape these rates and taxes. And if that one passes, are you also going to chase after those?
We need to get to a point where everybody in the city pulls their weight on a fair and legal way. We cannot have it that you have certain people who are paying and others who are not paying. For example, in Mamelodi, we've got a lot of illegal electricity connections, but people living next to them is paying, although there's others that are illegally not paying. And that is not fair towards the residents of the city. We need to get to a point where we can fairly charge everybody, not overcharge some and don't charge others, but fairly charge everybody across the city.
So Kleinfontein brags about being self-sustaining. They've got their own water, they do their own electricity. Of course, I saw pylons there. So if they live in the city of Tshwane, but they do their own water and electricity, you are still chasing after them.
They still live in the city of Tshwane. They still use the public roads that belongs to the city of Tshwane. When they leave Glen Fontaine and they come to Menden for shopping, they use public roads. They make use of the public street lights. So when they are in all of these places, they make use of the stormwater, the water, the electricity. So as residents of the city of Tshwane, they should be paying for their rates and taxes. We are not saying the city should charge them for water and electricity that they don't use. But as residents of the city of Tshwane, every resident should be contributing towards their rates and taxes.
Fair enough. So now they say the DA in Tshwane is only standing up now because the ANC or this coalition government that's been running the city right now has touched a nerve because it's an Africconer community and it's your constituency. That's why you are raising a voice. How do you justify that?
So currently, the valuation roll is open. The valuation roll was not previously open. But we should also be very clear that the motion that we submitted asks for the same treatment for all of these 19 illegally established townships of only Glen Fontaine, the rate owners. So we are standing up for all of these, and the reason why we're doing it now is because the valuation roll is currently open for re-evaluation and to be redone. And therefore, the window of opportunity to rectify this is now.
All right. Jacqui Uys, let me allow you to do what you were doing. I only asked you for a small time. Maybe one day you'll come to the studio so we can unpack this.
That sounds like a great plan.
Thank you very much, Jacqui. Bye.
Thank you, bye.
Bye. Thank you. So that's Jacqui Uys. So Jacqui Uys is is chief whip of Democratic Alliance in the city of Tshwane, where Glen Fontaine is. She's a former finance MMC. We've spoken a lot with Jacqui, and of course, the DA will always take care of their constituency, and I blame them not. The same way I say, if Glen Fontaine wants to keep themselves in a conclave because other people are doing it, why should we blame them? Why do people march to them? Why don't they march to the constitution to say, as a constitution, as a country, if these people are doing this and you term it illegal, then address it. So when MK went there, MK said they're going to introduce a private members bill. Well, I tried to speak to Mzwane Lemanyi. He was held up in meetings, and I contacted Abel Dawo, who's the spokesperson of MK in Gauteng, and you heard I tried to speak to the economic freedom fighters. He said he's waiting for permission from the powers that be to take the interview. So as it is, we might as well say it's only the Democratic Alliance who came and defended the position, and come to think of it, she makes sense. You may not like it. You may not like the idea that there's Glen Fontaine and Africconer conclave, but she's making sense. Because come to think of it, there are a lot of people who have built, I mean, we know informal, how do we even call it? Yeah, well, somewhat informal residences in the city of Tshwane, where people just build and they're just escaping through a lot of things, and their properties is not, their ERF is not registered, the square meter of their house is not registered with the city of Tshwane. They just pay, and the rest of other people who are from formal residences, they pay exorbitant fees. And you think of it, it's remove the Africconer part. What they are doing, they are politicking with bylaws and legislation, and it makes sense. It makes sense. So when are we as Africans going to stop chasing after people? Hey, stop what you are doing in your little corners. Come and join us here, or we are coming to force ourselves to you. You understand? So it's a matter of pride for me. It's unfortunate, but I think you have seen the letter where the economic freedom fighters have written to through Philip Makwala. They wrote to Panyaza they want to understand what's the position of the Gauteng government on Glen Fontaine, MK party in the province, and in parliament they came to address the African National Congress. We have not gotten any word from them, but we'll keep trying. Mashiane Politicallyincorect. I think let me close this. If they come in, I'll include them, but I tried.
The Kleinfontein residency, in terms of exactly who owns Kleinfontein, how was it established, when was it established, who established it, who okayed its establishment, who said that there must be whites only, how is it that it came to be a whites only place, how did Kleinfontein, because basically Kleinfontein is only open or the residency is restricted to those who identify as Africconer. Who okayed it? Who said yes? So we're going to be in conversation with the residents of Glen Fontaine this evening, and we're going to find out exactly when they were putting forward, and I'm sure they do, that when they were putting forward that they're going to be living here, who said yes, guys? Go ahead. Somebody did. Go ahead. A whites-only establishment. And before you say, yeah, but then look, there's a township. The township is not limited to black people. If you want to live in the township, if you want to live in Soweto, please go live in Soweto. Nobody's going to stop you. No one. If you want to go live in Diepsloot, please go live in Diepsloot. Nobody's going to stop you. I'm willing to guarantee there are no blacks-only places in South Africa. If you want to live in certain go live there. Nobody's going to stop you. Nobody's going to say you have to be identifying as Zulu only or Xhosa speaking only or Tswana speaking only, or nobody does that. But somebody okayed it for Afrikaners to have their Afrikaner only residency. And this evening we're going to find out, where did it come from? Who okayed it?
I don't know if you know this, but Gauteng has its own version of Orania. It's called Glen Fontaine. It's located on the eastern side of Pretoria, and it has just about 600 people. Glen Fontaine was established around the 1990s, around the same year that Orania was also established. And it was established as a place where Afrikaner people wanted to actually live and be self-determined for themselves outside of the democratic South Africa. Now, the reason I'm speaking about Glen Fontaine is because this place is now facing a huge battle for survival. And that is because the Tshwane municipality has published a new general valuation rule, which is going to see their rates go up exponentially high. And it might actually make it too expensive for people to actually live there. So now the Tshwane municipality has published a general valuation rule, as all municipalities do every 4 to 5 years. So properties that are above a certain threshold or price that can be charged rates will be published on the Tshwane municipality's valuation rule. What usually happens is that the Tshwane municipality or any other municipality will determine how much this property is worth. And the idea is that the more expensive your property is, the more rates you are going to pay. So what happened with Glen Fontaine is that in 2020, the last valuation rule published by the municipality, their valuation was 21 million rand. Now, in the recent one published in March 2025, their valuation is 300, almost close to 300 million rand. Now, what that means practically is that their rates can go up from 50,000 rand a month to around 2 million rand a month. And it's going to create a situation where, as I said, it's going to be too expensive for anyone to live there. So now I visited the area and I spoke to the Glen Fontaine spokesperson, but it's also one of the board of directors, Mr. Danny De Beer. And he was very unequivocal about it, saying that if this valuation rule does come into effect, this town or this settlement will be no more.
Orania is often called our sister town. We are called Orania Light at times, jokingly. We are exactly the same in the way that both are cultural entities and promoting specifically the Africconer culture, our heritage, our way of life. We respect Sunday as a Sabbath. We're a Christian community, and we're quite upset that Tshwane has suddenly thrown us under the bus. They've hit us with punitive taxes. They're proposing a ridiculous tax, which is basically closing down Kleinfontein if it should go ahead. That is, I can equate it to a land.
I went to Fontaine today. It's the Africconer settlement outside of Pretoria. They have their own solar, wastewater treatment, and wildlife. They say it's not a white-only settlement but rather an Africconer settlement. They even have people who still live in shacks. Imagine! This settlement has been in the making since 1990 and was self-sustainable and independent from the municipality. Apparently the city now has to start implementing bylaws after 34 years. But what about the other 500 informal settlements in Pretoria?
In terms of rates and taxes, because remember, we get no services from Tshwane. Water is ourselves, electricity distribution we do ourselves, the roads we do ourselves, the sewerage we do ourselves, the waste removal we do ourselves, the accounts we do ourselves, the meter readings we do ourselves. We receive zero services from Tshwane. So at that stage, around about 50 or 60 rand a house because of no services. Then it went up after the punitive taxation of Tshwane to about between 150 and 250 rand per house. If the new valuation goes through, it will be between 3.5 to 4,000 rand per house. And that's completely unaffordable. We have a large indigent and old community, people living off SASSA. So if you get a SASSA payment of 1,800 rand and you happen to own your house, you have to pay a levy towards the upkeep of the property, and you have to pay 3,000 rand a month in taxes to Tshwane. It's basically an eviction. So yes, we will most definitely object against the valuation. And if you look at this proposed valuation, it's basically taxing us out of our own properties. What is disturbing about the valuation is that our 900 hectares with approximately 600 houses is valued at 291 million. Then a place like Glen Fontaine with 2,000 houses is valued at 2.5 million. So there's
Welcome to Kleinfontein. His aim is to create an independent state where no black people are allowed. For Andre Breitenbach, the thought of everyone living together is impossible. Along with other Afrikaners, he has already built the state he's dreamed of.
It's much easier.